you can count on.
People in Paradise are running out of time to remove hazardous trees from their properties. Action News Now reporter Danny Maston explains that the time that they have left is running out.
Some people living on the ridge got this letter. It says they have 7 days to remove trees that could be a threat to the community. Kelly Thomas has lived on the ridge her whole life. She says she hopes people will do their part to keep the town she calls home safe.
In the sense of keeping your property fire safe, I feel like it's a community responsibility, and I know it's expensive and it takes work, but we don't want to end up how we were when all of the fire happened in the first place.
Some of her neighbors already stepped up, even though it wasn't cheap.
So I bought my little quarter-acre lot. It had 5 mature but dead trees on it. It cost over $4,000 to take out, even though not a single one of them was going to block the road and make it to a city street. I still obviously wanted them down for fire hazard, obviously.
I spoke with council member for the town of Paradise, Woody Colton. He tells Action News Now the town hired a new attorney from Sacramento to write this notice. The city sent out to private property owners with hazardous trees still on their property. When I first showed this notice to people who were out here shopping at the holiday market in Paradise earlier today, they all had the same initial reaction.
7 days is I would be like, whoa, where did this come from? If that was the initial letter they got, they didn't get any warning. I feel like a month is a little bit more, reasonable.
7 days is difficult, but I do know that people that I know have gotten notices quite a while ago, so they're probably getting down to, the final threats.
If property owners don't remove their trees within the 7 days, the town will set this matter to an administrative hearing, and that could cost the property owners up to $50,000 in fines. Reporting in Paradise, Danny Maston, Action News Now coverage you can count on.
The town of Paradise has already completed removal of 80% of trees from almost 3,000 separate properties. Well, the water in Lake Oroville continues to drop at an alarming rate. State leaders are eyeing projections that the lake will reach record lows this summer. Across California's 1,500 reservoirs, water levels are half what they should be this time of year. More than 100 houseboats have already been pulled from Lake Oroville water. Drought projections are dim. Farmers are struggling to irrigate crops, and native marine life could see major impact. The Castle Fire is to blame for knocking out a tenth of the world's giant sequoia population. The 2020 fire in Sequoia National Park tore through 273 square miles of the southern Sierra Nevada. Researchers used satellite imaging to tally the loss of nearly 10,000 giant trees. In half an hour, PG&E is offering a wildfire safety webinar. These virtual gatherings allow you to learn more about locally focused wildfire safety and emergency preparedness. Today's webinar focuses on Butte County. A PG&E representative will give a presentation and answer questions. We do have a link for you for the event on our website. Head to actionnewsnow.com/links. A spike in generator sales is leaving store shelves empty in Chico. The manager for industrial power products told Action News Now it has to do with COVID and people preparing for the hot summer ahead. He thinks a lot of people are buying in anticipation of potential PG&E power shutoffs.
People panic when PG&E shuts the power off or there's a fire, then all of a sudden everyone wants them, and that's where the shortage comes. Been busy since the campfire selling generators, mainly up in the Paradise-McGill area.
Brock also says if you do have a generator, make sure to regularly have it checked for maintenance. Now, while there may be some empty store shelves, he said overall his supplier has been good about regular deliveries, so just keep checking back. A Yuba City man has been sentenced to 6 months in prison for assaulting 2 flight attendants. Prosecutors say he repeatedly touched a female flight attendant inappropriately during a flight from San Diego to Albuquerque and grabbed the arm of a second flight attendant who stepped up to help. Well, one man is in jail after police say he broke into a disabled woman's home and sexually assaulted her. Reporter Nicole Comstock spoke with the woman's daughter, who says her mom was sure her life was over.
There's a sense of safety that comes with living in a gated community, but that was shattered early Monday morning when 28-year-old Raul Alzaga, out of jail on felony parole, was caught on several security cameras trying to get into homes in Fontana, wearing a t-shirt that read, "Stop snitching."
Our mom is amazing. She's the most innocent, kind person in the world. Like, she wears Christmas sweaters in July.
This woman's mom is also paralyzed from her waist down, which made it even more gut-wrenching to find out that this man removed her window screens and broke into her home, where he's accused of sexually assaulting her.
This man threw her on the floor and her legs don't work. He knew she was vulnerable and he didn't just leave. It was a 4-hour ordeal.
During that time, the sun came up, allowing her to see her attacker's face and his distinct tattoos clearly enough to positively identify him.
If that didn't happen, he'd probably still be out there hurting other women.
Police say hers was the second home Alzaga broke into. He sexually assaulted another woman on the same street, but was scared away by a family member.
Alzaga was chased through several residential backyards.
Fontana PD Chief Billy Green. As soon as the assaults were reported, every specialized unit in his department began investigating. They did surveillance on several spots Alzaga was known to frequent and caught him today.
Alzaga refused to surrender and immediately began to cut his own throat with a knife before collapsing, ironically, into a pile of garbage.
It's really important to my mom that we keep conveying how incredible the Fontana Police Department has been.
Now that Alzaga is off the streets, this woman's family just wants to help her heal.
She definitely thought her life was over, and she just pled with God, this isn't the way it ends.
That was Nicole Comstock reporting. Alzaga was taken into custody and is being treated for his injuries. 2 others who were in the vehicle with him were also taken into custody. Well, the White House is urging American businesses with this letter to bolster their defenses against ransomware. The administration is telling private companies to view the attacks as a threat to their core business rather than an IT issue. Recent targets include the transit system in New York and the world's largest meat supplier, JBS. But schools, hospitals, city governments have also been hit.
We can't do it alone. Business leaders have a responsibility to strengthen their cyber defenses to protect the American public and our economy.
It's almost like your house getting broken into. You know, there's a sense of security that you lose.
Now, the White House says President Biden will address cyber attacks when he meets with Russia's President Vladimir Putin this month, while not ruling out retaliation. The administration is also urging private companies not to pay ransom. New at 5, a cow on the loose caused quite a stir in Red Bluff. Bovine was trotting down Breckenridge Street when someone called it in. Some officers and a helpful neighbor were able to wrangle the calf into a trailer, while Tehama County Sheriff's deputies helped to make sure that the cow didn't run off. The rightful owner picked up the calf a little bit later at the animal shelter. The free summer feeding program begins Monday. If your child is under 18, they can receive a free breakfast and lunch every weekday in Chico. From 11:30 to 12:30, your student can show up at any of 6 locations to grab a bite to eat. The program ends August 6th. Another food giveaway is coming your way tomorrow. The Community Action Agency of Butte County will hold the food giveaway at the Palermo Grange on Irwin Avenue. It's from 10 a.m. to noon or until food runs out. CAA says that this was all possible because of funding to help families impacted by the coronavirus. Well, the survivors and families of the 8 killed inside this Indianapolis FedEx facility are getting a helpful boost from their community. We'll explain what that is coming up.
A lot of sunshine and heat around Northern California today. There's probably more clouds on this graphic than there are in the sky right now. What am I tracking? Well, we still have that excessive heat. Little relief in the short term. However, there are changes coming. They do involve breezes, but also cooler air. I'll let you know when that's going to start coming up in just a few minutes.
It's been 6 weeks since a gunman killed 8 people inside a FedEx ground facility in Indianapolis. Lindsay Stone explains how the community has rallied behind the survivors and the victims' families.
When an event like this happens, people in the community and all around the country feel powerless and they want to help.
After 8 innocent lives were taken in the mass shooting at the FedEx ground facility, the community stepped up.
We've received over $1.5 million in donations.
The National Compassion Fund collects and distributes charitable donations in the aftermath of mass violent crimes.
100% of the funds that we collect are distributed to the victims of that crime,
which includes the victims' families, those injured, and those present at the scene. The fund will remain open for several more weeks. Then, a local steering committee will meet during a public town hall to establish the rules that will govern the fund. Executive Director Jeffrey Dion knows firsthand the impact these donations make.
In 1982, when I was 14 years old, my 23-year-old sister Paulette was murdered. She was the victim of a serial killer.
He became an attorney and has dedicated his career to working with crime victims.
Nobody's experience is the same, but I think for them to hear that someone else has gone through something similar and based on that, we want to help, makes a huge difference.
To know that people are still paying attention to the needs of the families that have been so deeply affected, that in and itself is very touching.
Assis Kaur, community service manager with the Sikh Coalition, says it's been overwhelming to see so many people rally behind the Sikh community.
Their grieving process is going to be long and painful and hard.
Families could start to receive compensation as soon as the summer.
As much support as there can be from the larger community, right, the better off we'll be.
Those killed in that shooting ranged in age from 19 to 74. Well, the heat continues. Chief Meteorologist Jason Stiff is along next with the forecast.
And now, Action News Now Storm Tracker weather. Coverage you can count on.
We'll take a look at that. That's a live look at Highway 99 south of Chico. We are looking northwards towards the city of Chico. It is still hot out there, but the good news is that excessive heat warning is expiring. Chief Meteorologist Jason Stiff is in the Storm Tracker Weather Center. I got that right, yeah?
Yes.
Okay.
We have 3 hours and 14 more minutes if you want to be really precise about it, but that doesn't mean that the heat is just going to automatically shut off and it's going to be really comfortable outside. It's still going to be very warm tonight. We'll have a lot of heat tomorrow. It just won't be quite as hot, but there is that excessive heat warning all the way through the 9 o'clock hour for all foothill and valley locations. We're currently in the 90s and triple digits, so seek out that air conditioning. You're still going to need it tomorrow and the next several days, but it won't be quite as hot. Make sure you don't lock your children or any pets in any cars for any length of time because it gets hot even when it's not, the temperature is not this excessive, but that sunshine and heat combination makes it dangerous. Right now it's 104 in Red Bluff and Redding. Both had highs of 105 today. It's 99 degrees in Chico, 101 degrees in Oroville, 91 degrees in Weaverville, still 93 degrees in Alturas. We've had some breezes, a little bit stronger in Modoc County at 17 miles an hour. Elsewhere, not much wind. We don't want a lot of wind when we have this much heat and dry air and dry fuel. However, a nice breeze would make it feel a little bit more tolerable. Hardly any clouds around our region. We've had a few around Mount Shasta. We have some showers and storms behind me there in far west central parts of Nevada, but they are not going to give us any good chance for any wet weather. We'll have a fairly clear sky tonight and a mostly sunny sky for both Friday and Saturday. But what we do have also coming is cooler air coming onshore from the Pacific Ocean as we have a weather pattern shift. This is an area of low pressure I've been tracking since early in the week and late last week too. We knew it was coming. We're going to get rid of this ridge of high pressure, but it will also come at a cost. We'll have some breezy to locally windy weather from Monday afternoon through at least Wednesday afternoon. The good news is though, the temperatures will be cooler, so the fire danger shouldn't be elevated too much more. There's a slight chance for some showers over far northwestern California, but that will only amount to perhaps a handful of hundredths of an inch of rain. And that's really about it. So if you want to do some exercise tomorrow, still do it as early as you can. By the late morning hours, it's already going to get pretty toasty and downright hot for the valley as well as our mountainous areas by the afternoon. Here's your forecast for tomorrow. Still going to be pretty hot for the northern mountains, just not quite as hot as today. Upper 80s and lower to mid 90s for your Friday afternoon. Mostly sunny for the southern Cascades and northern Sierra. Highs also upper 80s and lower 90s. 93 for Shingletown as well as Quincy. 90 degrees for high tomorrow in Paradise, 87 in Forest Ranch, as well as in Concal, and 88 degrees for high in Magalia after a fairly mild morning. So do what you can during the morning hours, especially any yard work when it isn't quite so hot. For the valley tonight, we'll have lows in the lower to mid 60s, so a little bit of a mild start. Still going to be a very hot day, not record breaking, not as hot as today, but at or above 100. And the Chico area, lows tonight under a mostly clear sky will be in the 60s. Highs tomorrow just about as hot as today, 98 to 100 degrees. But here comes that relief, especially early next week. We'll have some breezes and locally windy weather at times, but the temperatures will drop out of the 90s into the 80s for Chico and for Redding. Still another couple triple-digit days for Friday and Saturday, but 85 degrees and windier by next Tuesday.
A Hollywood honor for a basketball legend. A look at the new Kobe Bryant mural was unveiled today. Next on Action News Now at 5. The French Open continued today in Paris. The big story today was probably that world number one Ash Barty was being forced to withdraw with a leg injury. She tried to give it a go, but just couldn't even finish her match. Unfortunate end to her French Open. On the men's side, the big three, Federer, Nadal, and Djokovic, were all in action. Roger Federer defeated Marin Cilic in 4 sets to advance. Djokovic cruised through Pablo Cuevas in straight sets to advance, and 13-time French Open champ Rafael Nadal took care of Richard Gasquet. A mural depicting a special moment in Kobe Bryant's life was officially unveiled today in Los Angeles. It depicts the late basketball legend winning an Oscar at the 2018 Oscar Awards for his short film, Dear Basketball. It is located on the 4th floor of the Hollywood and Highlands Center, which is just steps from the Dolby Theater, home of the Oscar ceremony. The artist, Brian Peterson, said he wanted to celebrate the transition that Kobe made after his basketball career. It is a big night for local high school seniors. We have more on what's happening with the graduation celebrations. And coming up at 6, Stuck in the Red, we're asking Shasta County public health officials why that county is one of the last in the state to still be red.
Mic check, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10.
Tonight kicks off high school graduation celebrations in our area. Graduation ceremonies are scheduled tonight for Pleasant Valley and Chico High Schools. Starting at 8 at Paradise, they're having a commencement tonight. The ceremonies all begin at 8, as a matter of fact. Graduations are being streamed online this year. Action News Now has created a list for you so that you can watch your student graduate. Just visit our website, actionnewsnow.com. Find this story on North State high school graduations, and then you'll find your school. One last check of the forecast. Here's Chief Meteorologist Jason Stiff.
And speaking of that 8 o'clock time for all the graduations, it's still going to be awfully hot outside. Even after the sun goes down later on tonight, we'll still be excessively warm around the valley. 8 p.m. on average, still in the lower 90s. So before the sun goes down, try to find a shady spot if you can. 10 p.m. still 85 degrees. Midnight temperature 80 degrees on average around the valley. It's going to be slightly cooler tomorrow morning. Going to start the day in the upper 60s, and also slightly cooler tomorrow afternoon. Our excessive heat warning expires tonight at 9 p.m., but that doesn't mean it's going to be cooler by a large amount tomorrow. We'll just be a handful of degrees cooler tomorrow, and then more significant cooling next week with, unfortunately, breezy to windy weather. But at least the temperatures will be dropping from the triple digits back into the seasonable 80s.
All right, thanks, Jason. There is more Action News Now straight ahead. Stay right here for Action News Now at 6.